All right, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Outside the Lines with your host, Kyuante Coleman. I am Kyuante Coleman, and we're bringing it from YouTube rather than on Spotify and wherever you find your podcast at because I feel like the visual cue is just a little bit better so you can see the raw emotion and everything. So, this is coming to you from the ST with Key YouTube channel. If anything, just comment. Let me know what you guys think, obviously, but here we are. Excuse me. We are now 4 weeks into the NFL season. Monday Night Football just ended, and rather than just the regular old updates on records and everything, I just want to give my opinions on the first quarter of the season. So, without further ado, NFL after 4 weeks, and right now we're just going to start off with I don't know why it just feels important to start off with the Chiefs. Obviously, they're the defending Super Bowl champions, back to back champions. But if we're starting off with the Chiefs, I watched all four of their games, and you can just see the level, like the struggles of their offense. Their defense is on point. Their defense is second to none in the league. You would always say Chris Jones being the amazing pass rusher that he is, as well as their secondary in Justin Reed, um, I think it's Jalen Watson. They also have a Justin Watson on offense, but Jalen Watson, Trent McDuffie, like they are balling. They're forcing turnovers, they're forcing pressure, and they're making sure that the opposing offense is not doing what they need to be. But why is it that for the past 2 years it feels like is that the Chiefs' offensive struggles just have not been there? I mean, the Chiefs have yet to put up 31 points so far, and that's unheard of an Andy Reid offense, and their struggles offensively have only just gotten worse now with the injury, what is believed to be a torn ACL of Rashee Rice, who as after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception, he goes to make a tackle on the DB that has the ball. The DB moves out the way, seeing Patrick Mahomes going low for a hit. Rashee Rice is right behind that DB, gets his knee knocked out. And I don't like. I'm not one to kind of advocate for what the NFL and what the NFL shouldn't do in terms of suspending players, but I do I live in a world of sports karma, and Rashee Rice, who was not suspended for the incidents that he got into in the off season, not to say that it just comes back around, but it's just unfortunate, you know, and that's my hot take for the day. But you look at it as if the NFL, if they did their job with a player that's speeding, gets arrested, you look at it and you're like, if he got suspended, he wouldn't even have to be in that scenario. Even though it's 4 weeks into the season, who knows how long the suspension would have been? But that's my hot take for today. Is just why didn't Rashee Rice get suspended for that? On the bright side for the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelsey, his struggles kind of dissipated a little bit. No major offensive production in terms of there's no touchdown from Travis Kelsey or anything, but the signs of life are coming back to Travis Kelsey, which you're never worried about him because he's an all world tight end. But there's always that little bit of concern when he doesn't get off to a hot start. But however, despite that, the Chiefs are one of the two remaining undefeated teams in the league at 4-0, and winning all tough games. I like to say, like, all their games have been one score games, and wins are wins. But you look at their offensive struggles and you're like, man, this does not look like a Kansas City Chiefs offense. And I said this last year, and I'll say it again. The difference of Eric Bieniemy as your offensive coordinator to Matt Nagy as your offensive coordinator is night and day. Eric Bieniemy, high scoring, high powered offense, never had to rely on the defense to get you where you need to go. But Matt Nagy in the second straight season, there are offensive struggles, and you just wonder, like, is it a lack of chemistry thing or is it a lack of preparation thing? And because the talent is always there on the Kansas City Chiefs team, but for some reason they're just not clicking yet. And obviously, Kansas City, who's going for a three-peat, you might not get everyone's best at the beginning of the season, but come playoff time, I can guarantee to you right now, if the Chiefs are not putting up points, they're going to be in for a world show because there's a lot of teams in the AFC that can put up some points on everyone. And that brings me to who I think is the MVP after four weeks. And sure, it's really early into the season, so no one really knows. But give me Josh Allen. Josh Allen has led one of the best offenses in the league. Despite the loss last night to Baltimore, I really like what the Bills are doing offensively, spreading it around to all the wide receivers. Not having to prioritize. Hey, like let's prioritize a number one receiver to keep him happy. Josh Allen said it in a recent con- press conference where he said that, not having to worry about just feeding one guy, you can just go around to everyone and everyone is having fun, and they have the weapons there. Khalil Shakir, even though he got a little banged up last night with his ankle, Khalil Shakir, he's a good wide receiver. Kyuante Coleman, that's my twin, but he's a good wide receiver who's going to make those contested catches, and he's only going to get better as a wide receiver. You have Mac Hollins, he's good. You have your double tight ends in Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. Like, it's only going to get better for Buffalo, and they've already been clicking on all cylinders. And I didn't even mention James Cook for Josh Allen, and Josh Allen has just been slinging the rock around, feeding all wide receivers, and just having that what you love to see out of your quarterback is having a great understanding of the offense. Now, they ran into a buzzsaw defensively of the Baltimore Ravens, but I don't look at it as a it's one of those games you can kind of wash over a little bit because not to discredit Baltimore, but it's a tough team, and that was probably Buffalo's biggest test yet in terms of a defensive matchup. And, you know, Josh Allen, I have a lot of trust in him because he's played good. Like even last night, he didn't even play terrible. He didn't throw any picks. He lost like one fumble that was on like a trick play or whatever, but it was more so you brought enough pressure to Josh Allen and you kind of speed up the game and his receivers don't get open and a whole lot of things like that. Not and it was a lot of excuse me, it was a lot of penalties in that game, not to shoot at the referees or anything, but I watched the game over from last night and I look to see what he's going to do next week against Houston at Houston. But yeah, Josh Allen for MVP, right? He looks like the front runner for it, and I think that for someone that's always looked like he should be an MVP in the MVP discussion, I think this is the year that he finally gets it because of the way that he's been playing. Um, Before I get into another set of quarterbacks from a couple years ago that were drafted, I want to get into this rookie class right now, and I want to talk about the quote unquote struggles of Caleb Williams and the hot start of Jaden Daniels. Now, everyone after 4 games, we're all raving about Jaden Daniels, and rightfully so. And what I look at more so is just the offensive scheme, man. Just great play calls, getting the ball out fast, receivers running their routes pretty quickly, Jaden Daniels hitting the being able to get his first read. I think that that's something that not a lot of people talk about in terms of coaching is getting Jaden Daniels getting his first read to connect, right? Because Jaden Daniels is getting the ball off quick on so many of these passes, and that comes with an understanding of the offense, but it also comes along with a great game plan. And Cliff Kingsbury, the offense coordinator in Washington, he's doing that because he's not. when you see a quarterback completing 80% of his passes after 4 weeks, it's not because he's like being Superman or he has to like wait, like he has to hold a pocket for 5 6 seconds. Like no, like his first read, it feels like it's always there. If it ain't his first read, it's his second read, and just having him understand like, okay, this is what's going to be open on this play against this defense, and that also is the benefit of having a defensive minded head coach, where every day in practice he's getting the guys ready, he's getting the offense ready to say, hey, like these are some looks you're going to see in this game. So it comes full circle in terms of coaching for Jaden Daniels. Yes, he's talented. Yes, he's great. But I don't like to discredit coaching, because you look at coaching for a rookie QB, it can be really good how Jaden Daniels is, and then it could be very questionable for how Caleb Williams is. And Caleb Williams, who, as a Bears fan, and as many Bears fans around the country, and especially in the city of Chicago, the offense, the offensive play calling is abysmal. It is bad. Like we're talking about, we have one of the better wide receiver cores, and yeah, like I know we were missing Keenan Allen for 2 weeks and whatnot, but throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, or running on second down, or trying to run the ball when the run game isn't there after 4 weeks, like consistently trying to, oh, we want to establish the ground game, when you have three wide receivers, one really good, actually two really good tight ends, and you have some backs that can catch out of the backfield, and everything is just meant to be short yardage for some reason. Like let's call screen plays, let's call these little quick little drag routes, or let's call a power option on fourth down, on fourth and goal, when our offensive line hasn't blocked for anything. It's to quote unquote like tie the game. Like the play calling is abysmal, and it's in, like I just said about Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy, it's night and day from Shane Waldron to Cliff Kingsbury in terms of offensive coordinators. And the sad part about it is that the Bears interviewed Cliff Kingsbury, and they didn't, I don't know if they didn't offer him the job, or if Washington got him, or he accepted the Washington job first. But I am struggling to understand, how is it that you have all the talent? I know our offensive line isn't that good in Chicago. I know it's not all that good. But you have all this talent on the outside, and we are running terrible, like we're running screen passes. It feels like we're running screen passes 40% of the time. Like 2 out of every 5 plays, we're running a damn screen pass for some reason, and it's a wide receiver screen. It's not even like a halfback screen or anything. Like Caleb Williams, who is a highly touted quarterback, and he's been one of the best quarterbacks in college, and he's looking to be one of the best QBs in the NFL. This man has the arm strength, the arm talent, one may say, to sling the ball around the entire field, like he did against Indianapolis, where he had 363 yards. But why are we minimizing, or how come our offense coordinator cannot use the offense or cater the offense to Caleb Williams' abilities, how Cliff Kingsbury is using the offense to utilize Jaden Daniels' capabilities? Like your offensive coordinator offense that caters to the quarterback's strengths, not putting him in short yard scenarios where it's like, I look at the offense as I watch Bears games, because that's when the Bears game is on. That's the one game I'm watching, and I look at it, and I'm looking at the offense, and I'm like, the concepts are not even getting open for us. Like, how is it that you have a great defense, and you can't, you don't, it's like I said for Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, that defense is supposed to make your quarterback better because he's going against a great defense every game, every day in practice. Why is it that you can't coordinate an offense to go against another great defense per se? You know, it's just you look at Shane Waldron, and then you have the players that voice their frustrations, like when the whole offense is going to offensive coordinator say, "Hey, we need to be more aggressive on offense." That says something, and as Bears fans, like we just look at it, and we're like, okay, we interviewed for Cliff Kingsbury. Why the fuck didn't we hire him compared to hiring Shane Waldron? And I know Shane Waldron comes from Seattle, and um, yeah, he comes from Seattle. He comes from the Sean McVay tree, but why is it that his offense just doesn't seem to work for Bears fans? Like for the Bears offense, when you have all the weapons that you have, I don't care about it. I know our left tackle, like I was saying this during the game, but it's like I know our left tackle needs to be traded. Like we need to trade for a better left tackle or at the least draft one. But like if we can, I don't think that there's any left tackles that's on the market. But if we can trade for a left tackle, we need to trade for one. But I don't know. I just look at it and I'm like, bro, like what are we doing? That's what I say. I say, what are we doing offensively? And like people are gonna start saying that, oh, Caleb Williams is a bust and all that stuff, but it's like it's not even him. It's just bad coaching, and you look at it, and for as good as it is to have a defensive minded head coach, it means nothing if you can't hire an offensive coordinator that is going to get the job done. You know, and you look at it, and you're like, how many how many offensive coordinators, offensive head coaches could we have had if we just made different decisions in terms of coaching? It's the it's the biggest what if for the Bears season right now. That's what I'll say. Um, but in terms of this rookie class, I want to get into the 2018 rookie class. That's just it seems to just the 2018 QB class. It just seems to be hitting on all cylinders right now. You had Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Lamar, Josh Allen, and I think Josh Rosen was in that draft or something. Saw a crazy graphic on Sunday Night Football where they said, "Oh, Josh Rosen, yeah, he's out of the league. He's in school, like he's pursuing a master's degree," and it's like, damn. But to talk about Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold is killing the game in Minnesota. I think that, and that's when I look at too, and it's like he is playing for the Minnesota Vikings, who have a similar weapon set to the Bears. Um, Good running back, good tight end, T.J. Hawkinson. Got Justin Jefferson on one side, Jordan Addison on another side. I think it's KJ Osborne still. I don't think KJ Osborne is still there. And it's like you see their offense is clicking on all cylinders, man. And every like the concepts of these receivers are getting open, tight ends getting open, hitting the running back and having a good run game. Like I don't know. I just look at it and I'm like, bruh, the Vikings, and shout out to Sam Darnold. I mean, you want to talk about resurrecting your football career. Baker Mayfield did it last year and he's carrying it on this year. But talk about resurrecting your career. Sam Darnold is doing that, and he's in a great situation. He was in San Francisco last year, learned a lot. Oh, let me go to Kevin O'Connell, and where I don't even know if we were talking about Sam Darnold even starting this year. Like I don't know if we were even talking about it, but yeah, like because JJ McCarthy got drafted and he gets injured in the preseason. And we were just looking at like, oh, Sam Darnold, like this is your time, prove your worth, and he's been balling. Like he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's an MVP candidate right now. after 4 games because the Vikings are 4-0, and it's kind of crazy to think about. And then I love Baker Mayfield, and Baker has been phenomenal. Like, just he's been accurate. Hasn't made He's made a couple mistakes, but he besides those couple mistakes, he's running that offense to a T. And you have his offense coordinator left, and Dave Canales, and he's still playing great. And I don't know. I like looking back on that class because the heavy hitters from that draft class, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, who were it felt like they were special from day one. There was a little we seen it from Baker Mayfield in that first year, but it took for him to get like two different head coaches because he started off with Hugh Jackson, then it went to Freddie Kitchens, and then he got Kevin Stefanski, and then they say, oh well, one bad year from Baker Mayfield, we're going to trade for Deshaun Watson, and you throw Baker Mayfield under the bus. He goes to Carolina, then he goes to Los Angeles, then ends up in Tampa Bay last year, played great, and now I think is that Tampa Bay, I think they're the best team in the NFC right now. They're 3-1. They beat they beat the Eagles, they beat the Lions, and they're beating them in convincing fashions where you don't have questions about their team. And I don't know, like their defense is great. I think Vita Vea is still out, but I don't think that he's out for the year. I think he's just out for a little bit of time. But he gets back, that defense is gonna still be phenomenal. They still got one of the best linebacking cores and Devin White and Levante David, and their secondary is good. Then their offensive line is just phenomenal. Um, their offensive line just owns the line of scrimmage, and Baker Mayfield just says, "Oh, I have time. Okay, let me let Mike Evans. He's getting old, but let me let him run his route deep, and I just throw it up to him. Chris Godwin, he's a menace in the slot. Let me just let him do whatever he has to do." And Baker Mayfield just looks great. And Tampa Bay, I think they're gonna. If Tampa Bay doesn't make it to the conference championship game, I would be shocked because their division is a division where that they can win. Like they have Atlanta on Thursday, but I don't think that's going to stop them. Like Atlanta's a good team, but the Buccaneers, they've won this division, I think, all three of the last years. Yeah. No, wait, yeah. NFC South. Yeah, Tom Brady was there for the two. Yeah. Yeah. The Buccaneers they've owned this division, and people kind of wrote them off because Kirk Cousins went to Atlanta, and they got the secondary, and I think that this Thursday is going to matchup is going to tell us a lot, but yeah, we'll see. I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a really good team. They beat who they beat some of the best teams that people were had coming out of the NFC. So I don't see why they wouldn't make it to the conference championship. And if they make it to the conference championship, I don't see why they wouldn't go to the Super Bowl. Like Baker Mayfield in the Super Bowl. Why not, right? And I like that. I like the sound of that. I know it sounds crazy, but because no one really talks about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they played great last year. They beat the Eagles, and then they gave the Lions a run for their money. And for as good as the Lions have been the past 2 years, I look at a team like Tampa Bay, a team that has their number. Like, yeah, they beat them in the playoffs last year, but you walked away from that game in the divisional round last year, and you're like, man, the Buccaneers played really good, and they brought back everybody. And I don't know, I like Tampa Bay. I really do. They've been there. They have the coaching and Todd Bowles, and I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like them a lot. I really like them. I really like them, and they just have that winning culture because Tom Brady led them to the divisional title. The last 2 years he was there, because the first year he was there, the Saints won it. because I remember they had to go on the road to the Saints in that first year that Tom was there in the divisional round after they beat the Commanders in the first round, not put Drew Brees into retirement. And after that, Tom Brady only went on to win two more division titles there, like he always does. Yeah. And then last year, Tampa Bay won, and then this year it looks like they're gonna win. So going for fourth straight NFC South crown, and people were writing them off to start the year. I didn't. I always thought that Tampa Bay would be good. Um, Real quick, going into Baltimore, like what a bounce back from them. Like even though the the first game against the Chiefs came down to the wire, and people walked away looking like, oh man, Baltimore almost got them, and they almost did. Like obviously Isaiah Likely, his everybody says the shoe size was one size too big or whatever. It happens. Like you step out of bounds. It's for as big as a football field is, that end zone, that touchdown, that painted grass is something different. So, you know. Then they lost the game to the Raiders when the Raiders came back, and people were like, is Baltimore gonna get it clicking this year? Then back to back games. Let's just run the ball down whoever we're facing throats. Derrick Henry had 151 last week. Last night he almost had 200. Like, and it's you look at Baltimore and you're like, what can you do to stop them per se? And the question right now is like, because you can't prepare for Lamar and a Derrick Henry backfield behind a offensive line that is big and beefy. Like, yeah, and then Patrick Ricard last night was ending like they just got into the pistol, put Patrick Ricard in the offset, and just said, "All right, we're gonna power it. We're gonna power it right. We're gonna power it left. We're gonna go straight up the middle." And that offensive line, and I think that was the bigger question over the first two games was, can this offensive line mesh it together? In the past 2 weeks, they've done that, and they've already climbed out of an 0-2 hole, and it looks like they're gonna be in front in their division now. Like I'm a Bengals fan, not because of the team itself. I just like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I like LSU guys, but you just look at that, and they have a division, and they play against each other this week. But it looks like Baltimore said, "Hey, we're gonna go ahead and take care of this division once again." And they beat two. Whoa, we and we'll talk about the Cowboys, but they beat the Cowboys, who they seem relevant every year. Then they beat the Buffalo Bills. They took the Buffalo Bills winning streak away. They were their first loss for Buffalo. So but to turn it around, to find your identity after an 0-2 hole, I love it for Baltimore. And it looks like again that we're going to see Baltimore firmly in the playoff picture, and it's only a matter of time till we see them go against some more of these heavy hitting teams later in the year, and we see them in the playoffs. It just feels like it's inevitable. As long as Lamar is healthy, it's inevitable that Baltimore is in the playoffs because they just run ripshot through every other team besides the Chiefs, right? I think the Chiefs are the only team that beats them regular season and postseason. So I give credit to Baltimore more than anything for coming out of 0-2 hole when it looked bleak, especially with that offensive line, because that offensive line had drawn so many penalties in the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks really, and you were just looking at it like, man, how far can this offensive line set us back? Where every play is every down is like a 1st and 15. But they meshed it together. Shout out to John Harbaugh with the coaching because that's what it is. Like the value of coaching is something special. Just making sure that everyone is on point. Like there is strength in that. And I love it. I love it because John Harbaugh, he's been around for a long time and just making sure that every guy is doing his job. And you look at the interviews, the post game press conferences where Lamar is saying that, yeah, I don't care about throwing for 200, 300, 400 yards. I just want to make sure we're winning. Like, because he didn't have that many passing yards last night. And, that's how it should be. Like, you should be able to do whatever the game requires you to do in order to win football games. And that's what Lamar and the Ravens are doing. So shout out to them for reinserting themselves back into the playoff or the championship contending picture after an 0-2 hole. Big shout out to them. Um, we'll get into the Cowboys right now since I just mentioned them, but the Cowboys are 2-2 and they look nothing like a playoff team right now. Like teams are kind of running all over them. Like I know the Giants didn't run all over them on Thursday, but teams are kind of running over them a little bit, and it begs the question: like, did you know every sports show you hear is everyone is going to be like all in what like all in like that's what Jerry Jones said is all in, and you bring well, you didn't necessarily bring back anyone because pretty much everyone that was a free agent left. There was the extensions weren't a the extensions of Dak Prescott and CD Lamb weren't a free agent extension. It was a contract is almost up extension, and we have to make a new deal. Now, credit to Dak and CD for getting paid, but now with Micah Parsons getting injured on Thursday night, you look at it and you're like, damn, Micah didn't was the one person that you didn't get paid, and it's like, is Jerry Jones going to pay him now, or are the potential rumors of Micah Parsons getting traded coming true? You just look at it and you're like, man, what like for as good as the Dallas Cowboys rosters have been over the past couple of years, this might be the worst one. They've lost they've lost parts of their offensive line. They've lost some defensive guys, and they're not healthy, obviously. And now, pretty much one your star defensive player now has an injury that doesn't look good, and a team that's supposed to contend for the division every year and contend for a championship every year, we might be seeing the last of Mike McCarthy. I think I don't know. Like there are some games that you gotta win. There are some games you gotta dominate. Now, a win is a win in the National Football League, but you should have dominated the Giants because you've lost two straight games in embarrassing fashion in terms of the loss against the Saints and the loss against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care if they came back at the end of the game against Baltimore. It was garbage time points. If you want to be a championship contending team, you got to do what Baltimore did to Buffalo last night, and that is get on them from the jump and maintain a great lead. And they didn't do that over the past 3 weeks. And you just look at it, and it's like it's always so funny whenever the Cowboys are struggling because the biggest Cowboy hater in the world is probably Stephen A. Smith, and it gives him content. It just gives him content, and it's like they play into. It's like there is nothing more true than that Cowboy fans chart every year that goes around the internet every year, where it's like, we're going to Super Bowl, right? We're going to Super Bowl, right? This is our year. Beat up on some bad teams. This is our year. Um, the playoffs come. The playoffs come around. The playoffs come around. Lose a game. Next year we go win the Super Bowl. Like it just how does it? It's like there's like a script like every year for the Cowboys fans, man. It's like every year it's a script for the Cowboys fans, and it's like I don't know, man. Like, what do you even do? What do you even say? Like, it's like every year, but like the biggest thing that I look at with the Cowboys is they can't, for some reason, they just don't win the big games or the games they need to win. And this year, like, I don't think they even make it to the playoffs, and that's crazy to say for the Cowboys. A year they don't make it to the playoffs. But it's one of those things we'll just have to see what all happens. But they don't look good right now. But before I close it out, I do want to talk about the defending NFC champions, and that's San Francisco. And they don't look as dominant. I don't care that they whooped up on the New England Patriots yesterday. I think it was like 42-10 or whatever. San Francisco, they don't look the same right now, and they still have Kyle Shanahan, the genius offensive mind, but their team just it don't look right now. I know that they've had a couple injuries. Kittle was banged up. Debo's been banged up. CMC obviously isn't there, but even before CMC, the Niners were let's give you some 30 balls against a good team and just always be that offensive powerhouse. Like yesterday, they looked good. They played the Patriots. You're gonna look good against the Patriots. I feel like because the Patriots, like as they have potential to be good, and they won that opening game against Cincinnati. But since then, they've kind of looked. They haven't looked all too well, and they're going to be competitive. But I don't look at their win against the Patriots as oh my god, like the Niners are back. Like no, like they lost against Minnesota. They lost last week to the Rams in a comeback effort, and it's like what I can't tell you exactly what it is. Like, is it is there like this unforeseen pressure on Brock Purdy now or something? Is the fact that CMC isn't there like it is that what it is? Like I don't know, man. I'm used to seeing San Francisco be like 3-1 right now, but instead they're 2-2, and I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna say it's the end of an era for San Francisco, but are we seeing the end of Brock Purdy or I don't know? Like you sometimes, like I think that this is what's so crazy, right? Kyle Shanahan, great offensive genius, right? Is he on the hot seat this year? Like, yeah, you've been to some Super Bowls. But the thing is that you've lost leads in the Super Bowls that you've been in, whether that stretches back to Atlanta in 2018 or even the 2020. I think it was 2020, and where he lose the lead to Patrick Mahomes, and you lose another lead to Patrick Mahomes, and I don't know. It's like is there that fatigue in the locker room? Do you need a new voice in there? But it's like Kyle Shanahan's don't grow on trees, man. So it's like I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I would. I'm very intrigued to see like where this season's gonna go, but them not being dominant out the gates is a big one for me. Like I'm questioning it because sometimes their division is very tight and locked up, like in terms of like because a lot of people don't say this, but I think the NFC West is one of the tougher divisions just based off of how many teams play there. and how many teams are winning 10 games a year. Like, although Arizona wasn't there last year, the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Niners were all 9-win teams last year. Like, I I don't know, man. Like, do the Niners need a new voice in that locker room? Is People say Super Bowl fatigue, but ah, the Niners I'm just used to them being more dominant. Like, obviously the Patriots were a get right game, but I don't think that solves all the problems that are being had. Like, I know Dre Greenlaw is injured right now because he popped his Achilles in the Super Bowl, but certain things ain't clicking. So I guess we'll kind of see where it goes, see like how the season plays out for him. But uh, I there's trouble brewing there because this ain't the same Niners team that we're used to seeing, even no matter the quarterback, right? Like, and that's been like the motto there is like, no matter the quarterback, we're going to be dominating games. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. But anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Outside the Lines with Kyuante Coleman. Obviously it's on YouTube channel, so I'm gonna be posting some more content there and everything. But for the moment, thank you guys for listening. Peace out, peace and love, and keep smiling out there.